psychology. My goal was always to try to give back to people, where I started at the public defender's office, been helping families go through divorce, all aspects of it, and now it's my time to give back. I think we need smart, intelligent, hardworking, capable judges, and I am that person.
Your opening statement's interesting, right? Helping people is one thing. Do you think judges are in the job of helping people?
Well, I think the judges are in the job of helping people with their issues by determining their issues. When people come before the court, they need a judge who's going to listen, who's going to understand the law and how it applies. And so it basically helps the citizens of our county and our state by getting their issues, whatever brought them before the court, adjudicated timely and thoughtfully.
And thank you for mentioning your practice background. We have some applicants who have only been in criminal. We have some applicants who have only done a certain type of law for their career. For a long time, you've been in marital family, dependency. I saw some of those dependencies too. Is that too narrow, or is it broad enough to be an advantage?
Well, I have done other fields as well. Being in family law, it touches on a lot of different aspects of the law. We deal with businesses. I deal with, a lot of financial, information, circumstances, various financial transactions. It involves a lot of, we get into estate planning sometimes and wills and things like that. I've done probate cases. I've done some civil cases. So I actually have experience in almost every type of law. My firm does personal injury, but I personally don't handle personal injury cases, but I'm familiar with them. So I do think that not only my experience with family law and criminal, I spent, while my focus for definitely the past 5 years, one of the past 10 years has been family. I initially started out in criminal defense. So I think I kind of, based on my practice, have had experience in all aspects of the law. And I do think that my experience in family law and running my own business translate into being able to handle virtually any type of practice.
Morning.
Morning.
What inspired you to apply now to become a judge?
Well, frankly, I thought it was time. I thought that we needed smart, capable judges. I feel like I would do a good job. I looked around, I saw the opening. Based on my practice, I felt like it was time. I enjoy holding myself to the highest level of my practice. That's why I decided to become board certified, because I felt that to me, that was kind of a pinnacle of becoming knowledgeable in my field, and I believe that judges are kind of the pinnacle of the law profession, and it's time.
Thank you.
I wanted to follow up on something you just said. You said that you do a good job. Looking at your practice, it's primarily family law and sort of related areas. This seat right now is circuit criminal. You have no background in circuit criminal, at least from what I saw based on your application. How do you think that you would do a good job, like as the judge resolving whatever types of criminal cases that might come before you?
Well, I actually have a lot of experience in criminal law. First of all, I initially went into the field of criminal law. I was a public defender for almost 3 years, and then I also practiced criminal defense for the next 15-ish years of my practice. I've had
people in the county who are board certified. Tell us a little bit about that process.
So basically, my understanding is that the family law board certification is one of the hardest to get. It's less than 10% of applicants every year actually pass the test and are able to become board certified. In order to become board certified, I had to have the requisite number of non-jury trials, cases, and then there's a rigorous exam that I had to complete. Essentially what I did in order to pass the exam is I read every single family law case for the past 2 years leading up to the exam, and just really honed in on evidence and the rules of procedure in order to become board certified. And I took the exam twice and got it the second time.
So in addition to the positive endorsements, there were some people who commented and said that sometimes when things don't go your way in court, you tend to get a little frustrated. Would you agree with that assessment? And if so, is that something that you have worked on?
I would probably agree with that assessment. I think everybody gets frustrated if things don't go their way in court. I try not to let it show. I definitely work on that. I think that my demeanor has improved over the almost 30 years that I've been practicing, obviously. But it is something that I am cognizant of, and I'm always trying to be aware. I don't argue with judges after they make their rulings. I think that's very unprofessional. I think at worst case scenario is I might, my facial expressions I think sometimes give me away. Sometimes people have more of a poker face, and I've been working on that.
Thank you.
Hey, Ms. Peters. So I agree with Mr. Pickett. I haven't heard a bad thing. I've heard great things. What I'm kind of curious is that, what do you think with all your experience, you become a judge, what are you going to try to implement, or what are you going to try, how are you going to make things better as a judge?
Well, my belief is that one of the biggest problems is the documents and how long it takes, especially in family court. I believe it's too long to get to a hearing. So some of the things, I've done a lot of thinking actually, like if I was a judge, what would I do to make this better? I think that there needs to be more opportunities to get to temporary relief. Maybe judges should implement time limits on how long you can set for a hearing, and just, instead of giving parties, an infinite amount of time, say this is temporary, give me your best shot, and let's get this done. I know Judge Dooku just recently started implementing these interim orders that she'll enter if the temporary relief hearings haven't finished, and I think that's a great idea because it gives people relief. One of the biggest problems with not having timely opportunities to present your case in court is that people are languishing. You have families languishing in criminal court. You have defendants and victims. These things can take years. So what I would do if I were appointed is one of the first things I would do would be to look at my docket and try to come up with some of those ways to get it under control and managed time-wise. I know several years ago, Judge Dugan had tried to implement kind of open motion calendar where people can come in and set, shorter hearings just to kind of keep things moving. So, there's a couple of different ideas I was looking at and thinking about ways to implement quicker hearing times.
Good. Thank you.
Can you tell something about you as a person or an attorney that would make you particularly effective as a circuit court judge? Is it, your position, your demeanor, your stick-to-itiveness, whatever? Like, tell us how you individually would be good at this.
Well, I think one of the best things that I do is I'm always looking to the statutes. So whatever I'm arguing, even though I've been practicing now for almost 30 years, I always go back to the statutes, I always go back to the rules, and I try to make sure that I am aligning presenting my arguments in accordance with the statutes and the rules. So one of the assistants that works in my office, she always makes fun of me because she's always like, oh, Miss Peters, she always knows the exact statute and, you know, section for these, you know, obscure random things. But it's because I go back and I look at them. So I think the fact that I would always try to focus on, okay, what are the statutes, what are the rules? You know, I feel that I'm a hard worker. That's the other thing. I'm the first one in the office almost every day, and I'm the last one to leave. So I work hard, and I try to follow the law and maintain that level of knowledge and professionalism.
Thank you.
Morning. You're the last one here this morning, so appreciate your time. Thank you for coming. Question I had to do with, from what I could see, you previously applied to the JNC. Looks like it was September 2009.
Yes.
And so that would have been, what, 15 years ago. So about halfway through your career, if you will. Take a career is 30 years. A lot of times I see judicial applicants are anywhere sometimes between 15 to 20 years. You know, why did you wait that 15 years? Why was there that gap? And, you know, did you learn anything from that initial application? And why has it been 15 years until your next application?
Well, I think the main reason is my children, to be honest. I have 3 children. My youngest is now 18. I spent a lot of that time raising them, and I really enjoyed the flexibility that I had with running my own practice, being in private practice. You know, I attended all of their extracurricular activities, their games, and you know, I was full-time attorney and then full-time mom chauffeur. I used to say my second job is a chauffeur. So I think a lot of it has to do with that. I decided, and even back then in 2009, they asked me, oh, you know, you have these kids, and I'm like, oh yeah, no problem. But upon further reflection, it would not have worked. I really needed the flexibility that my private practice allowed me. I always had in the back of my mind that I wanted to, you know, pursue being a judge again. And, you know, when Judge Maloney's seat came open, I really thought about it, and just the way my life is right now, with my children all basically almost all flown in nest, it's a good time for me to do it.
Okay. Thank you.
Do you have any closing remarks?
I guess I would just say that I appreciate the opportunity to come here and talk to you guys, tell you about my experience. I do think that I have the wealth of experience that would allow for a judge, you know, the judge position. My 30 years experience, my business experience, my being able to run a business on my own, manage people, would lend itself to a judge, and I really think that if you appointed me or you sent my name up and I became appointed, that I would do a good job for Brevard County. I believe that judges need to follow the law. They need to be intelligent. They need to be able to analyze difficult and complex scenarios and serve the people with dignity and respect, and that's what I would uphold.
So during the interview process, you mentioned several times that judges need to be smart. Is that a complaint that you identify in the current judiciary? And if so, can you name specific judges?
No, but you know, I think when you're looking at appointing people, you wanna appoint, you know, the best. I went to the best law school, you know, top 20 law school. You know, when I applied to the Florida bar, you know, I remember getting a letter for scoring really high in the bar exam. So I always try to do my best. I feel like, you know, I guess I just feel like I would do a really good job, and that my desire to be good and you know, push myself and do the best that I can would be well for the judiciary.
Thank you. Thank you for your time and effort to put the
Sure.
application together.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, I'll enjoy some lunch.